we're going to be breaking down another mock because I want to ask Doc about his. Doc getting involved.
Oh,
Doc getting involved in the mock game. You know, he's got to dip his toes in the
They can't
water
see
a
it
little.
right when we said that. Doc, you could tell Doc's getting ready. He
Oh,
regrabbed
he's
the mic,
always
make sure
ready.
the mic was in the right spot.
He's always ready. It's John Maakaron. He's joining us a day before his typical Wednesdays. We appreciate him rescheduling, joining on Tuesday. But he's here to talk about the NFL draft and get into his own, John Maakaron, which is on Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. It's live right now, and you can check it out. Welcome him to the show. Man, the myth, the legend, Mr. John Maakaron. John, how we doing today?
no, he wasn't ready.
Doc,
He wasn't
dude.
ready. Oh, no, Doc.
Oh, yay.
You hyped him up. You said he's ready every time to go. And then, oh, no.
Hey, Doc, you know what?
There we go, Doc.
There it is. There it is.
Yes.
There it is. Look, I'm
Oh, there
old
we
and
go.
I've gone through a million draft names. And with the gear, that's the best thing. Rookie mistake. Don't even turn on the microphone to talk. Why? It's Tuesday and I'm distracted. Shannon Sharp and his nonsense got me checking out the internet going, listen, first and foremost, we may not spend a lot of time on Shannon Sharp, but I just got to say to my guy, got to upgrade, man. If you're going to make $100 million podcasting, the ladies that I'm seeing online that you're affiliated with, they're not cutting it to the standard that most people would like. And I'm very disappointed in Mr. Shannon Sharp that this is going on again. Didn't learn from before. And this is crazy that he's still on the air. But here nor there, it's time to break down the Lions draft.
Yep, Michelle. We'll get into it. Doc, hey, listen, I want to ask you because we're not going to go through it all because I want people encourage people to go read the full mock draft, but I'll get into your first round pick because and then you did a full mock every round for the Lions, every pick, which again, Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. It's all online. So you go follow the Doc at Detroit Podcast. You can check it out. He posted it there as well. But Doc, talk to you about Tyler Booker being the first round pick for Lions fans and what you like about Tyler Booker and kind of the reasoning behind that. And then the people can go check out the other picks. But what's with Tyler Booker, Doc? Why Tyler Booker?
Yeah, and here's the deal. Part of it is I did like 2 or 3 total mock drafts. I definitely posted a lot of the other writers that are on my staff. You can go check them out too. But I looked at it and I said, what's the Lions' biggest need? Yes, it's edge rusher. Would it piss off everybody if the Lions went away? I do think that. I think that the Lions fans would be quite upset. So you got a little bit of spice would be interesting. But outside of my own personal wants for the fans to get riled up and to have debates on who's taken, I always go follow the money. And who's the biggest investment this Detroit Lions football team has? And that's the quarterback, and that's Jared Goff. And for him to be making $50 million annually, the cap hit keep rising. Your biggest job with a new offensive coordinator is protect JG16. The vision of seeing the Commanders just have their way with the Lions offensive line was too much. It just sticks in your mind that the offensive line need is a little bit more than the edge rusher need. The edge rusher need is there. It is there. You need an edge rusher on day 2, maybe not pick number 60 or the next pick, but it's a deep class. Brad Holmes, I think, can target an edge rusher later on. And I think the most important pick in round 1 is somebody that can get in there and right away compete to start. And I think Booker's that guy. You may have to trade up to get him. I like everything about him. He plays for a big school. I thought that his pressure rate was great in regards to not giving up sacks. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is a superstar in waiting, and he's going to bust out this year and have another great all-pro season. And David Montgomery, I think that you can slot Tyler Booker right away. If not, I'm okay with Gray Zabel as well. I think those are the 2 odds-on favorites in my book to land with the Lions. And Gray Zabel may be even a better option because you can slot him basically at all 5 spots.
Yeah.
And he's got a chance to compete. So I look at it and I say, in the trenches, you handle business, JG's protected, and I would love a offensive line of Taylor Decker, Tyler Booker, Frank Ragnow, Christian Mahogany, and Penei Sewell. You could do a lot worse than that. And I think that he's ready to go. I like him. Hopefully, I know that people are maybe thinking it might take a big move up. I don't. I think right now a lot of the mock drafts and a lot of the analysts are sliding him potentially to Houston, a couple picks up. So it might not cost a whole heck of a lot just to move up a couple spots. I just love the fact that he's from Alabama. And look, keep it simple. When you guys are out there in the chat paying attention to what potentially Brad Holmes could do, you look at a couple factors. Do they play for a big school? Do they have grit? Do they have a great relative athletic score? And do they jump out on film? And Booker does that for me right away. So I felt comfortable to put my name on it and to send it off to the editors. And they were like, sounds good. They approved it. It was all good. And I like Tyler Booker to come in right away and have immediate impact for the Detroit Lions.
Love that, Doc. I do like that pick. I like even like you said, the Gray Zabel one. I went the path of edge rusher. But like I said before, I even did mine, Doc. I did mine and I switched it. I had Gray Zabel at 28 and switched it to Michael. So I don't think you can go wrong either way, to be honest. I do want to just bring this up then. Something obviously, the Za'Darius Smith news. Obviously, he still is not signed, and we've talked with you about this for the last few weeks. But you going offensive line and saying, hey, you could go edge rusher later in the draft. Did you have that mindset going in, like, hey, there's a chance Za'Darius is still back, so maybe it's not as much of a need? Or what do you think happens with that whole Za'Darius situation?
Yeah, no, Za'Darius Smith did not factor into the creation of my mock draft because, like I told you guys several weeks ago, I think when Brad Holmes and I had asked him at his pre-draft media session that, hey,
Thank you for that too, Doc.
He was in town. Did you meet with him? And he said that the agent will give the next update. So it kind of lends to the idea that there's basically a number that the Lions have in mind, probably a 1-year deal, $4 or $5 million, some incentives, and it's up to the agent to then shop it around. And I think what Za'Darius is going to do, like I told you guys previously, he'll wait until probably training camp. If someone goes down, then maybe his leverage goes up. Because right now, it's pro leverage for the Lions. They said, here's the deal. Let us know if you like it. And so Za'Darius, his agent's going to shop it and figure out if there's a market for him. So I don't think he'll be signed before Thursday. So it factors 0 into my thinking. It was great to see Cash Doll advocate for him to come back. There's a decent chance that if he wants to play and he accepts what the Lions' terms are, he could come back to Detroit. But I don't want to go into the year with Za'Darius Smith, over 30 years old, and Marcus Davenport, who's injury prone. I'd rather just draft 1 or 2 edge rushers. And also, too, don't discount the outside linebackers that are available as well that can rush the passer. And you also have one, hopefully he comes back healthy, in Derek Barnes. He can rush the passer, and so can Jack Campbell as well. So you have some assets. It's not as bad as people think regarding the edge rusher spot, but yeah, I think you still need to upgrade. You can never, ever have too many pass rushers, no doubt about it. And I think that Lions fans, I do hope you bring the passion. If you're upset, let everybody know. Let them know that if you don't think that, if you think the Lions are, if they pass on an edge rusher first round, feel free. I don't think that, I think everybody's opinion is valid because when you saw the Eagles with 2, 3, 4 guys that were able to get to Patrick Mahomes, I understand those that will say, hey, get a Mikel Williams, get a Shamar Stewart, get a Donovan Ezeraku, get somebody right away that can rush the passer. I understand that need, and I would not knock anybody that would get upset if the Lions pass on an edge rusher in the first round.
Doc, we're going to get to it later in the show as far as our opinions on it, but the news right now just surrounding the Detroit Lions is Jameson Williams and his possibility to be traded on draft night. Do you think, A, that it does happen, Jamo gets traded, and do you think there's a situation where they could take a wide receiver early if that's the case?
Yeah, no, it's I get it. I get that. Listen, it's fun for me in that it's common sense that Jameson Williams is a player that, teams may covet. And the thinking is, it's draft banter. It's realistic looking at the Lions contract situations, understanding that it is an option. It's the true definition of speculating. That, yeah, Jameson Williams is a player that probably is not going to get a second contract with the Lions because he's a good player that's going to want $25 to $30 million like T. Higgins. He's a prototypical number 2 that could be number 1 given the right spot. So that number is just going to be quite high for the Lions. So people look at it and say, okay, he's an asset that could potentially help you move up because you are picking 28th in the draft in every round. That's a problem. You need some more capital. The Lions draft capital is like basically 5th worst in the league because you have to wait for all these players to go off the board every round. So it's feasible. Is it likely? No. Is it something that people are going to talk about? Yeah. And here's the thing. Sports Illustrated and another NFL insider sparked the flame a little bit more when they did their reporting, and teams, they logically looked at it and said teams could call and they should call Brad Holmes to see if he's available. And Brad will probably say, yeah, I need a first round and another day 2 pick. And Brad's going to set the market pretty high for a player that's super talented. So I don't get all upset. I don't get emotional because, yeah, I talked to Jeff about it on our podcast. I said the Lions could take an offensive skill position player in the first or second round. They brought in Matthew Golden. It could happen. But again, do you really think Brad Holmes is going to take away an asset of Jared Goff? Unless the pick is overwhelming, you get 2 firsts and you get a crazy offer, then you consider it. But the idea is, guys, let's be honest. We talk about Jameson Williams a lot. You asked me about it. I write about it. Simply put, I don't bullshit your audience. When we write about Jameson Williams, people read about it. So my job is to enact information that's factual. I've never lied to the audience. And I've said that I don't, and I said in every video that I released nationally, I don't think he's getting traded. But we do talk about it because Jameson Williams is a polarizing figure. When you say his name, people want to talk about him. So that's my job. And we're talking about him now. But I don't get mad. I don't blame the writers who talk about it. The other guy wrote it because he knew it draws attention. That's the only reason he wrote it. If you sat here and you asked him, do you think he's going to get traded? He's going to tell you no. But he wrote it because it helps him keep his job and pay his bills. So that's the deal. That's what we do. And that's what we talk about. When I go to write topics, my job every day is to assign 3-4 topics to all the guys. Every piece of art content you see at Lions on SI is created by me in my brain. And of course, when there's opportunities to talk about Jameson Williams, I ask about Jameson Williams because, look, we even talked about his social media habits, which is nonsense. The CBS Sports got it wrong. They did not. They had some guy put out an article that was factually inaccurate. Can you believe it? They changed the headline. And it's crazy that people follow it to that degree. That's how much people care about Jameson Williams. But he's not getting traded unless there's a massive offer on the table for Brad Holmes. And guys, I guarantee you, Brad has fielded calls about Jameson Williams. That's the job of a general manager, is to know and inquire. And it's not a major issue in regards to the grand scheme of things. I'll take a page out of Booner. Calm down, everyone. It's just trade banter, draft talk. But if it happens, oh boy, it would set the internet on fire in Detroit because he's definitely a popular figure.
Hey, John, they also met with another offensive player, Cam Scadaboo, from the running back from Arizona State, which Klotz has an infatuation with as a mid-round running back. He's been a fan of his for a while. And the Lions met with him. And they've met with a couple running backs. And Cam's projected to be like a round 2, 3, 4 guy. So he's not going to be this late round flyer. He's a pretty good football player. What do you think the reason? I know they're doing their due diligence, but is it something the Lions kind of have to think about in the future, is like what happens after Montgomery? Or is that just a bunch of BS and they're just doing their due diligence?
No, you do have to continuously look at what goes on. And I just think that when you see talented football players that are gritty, that have good ability to break tackles, you kind of see a player in Cam Scadaboo that people would like. I like what he brings to the table. He had, by all accounts, his private workouts with scouts has been pretty positive. But yeah, you got to bring in competition. He's intriguing. And here's why. I think when you read about him, he kind of reminds you of like an old school football player. Like, he likes contact. He plays with violence. He's a solid, run after the catch kind of guy, and, breaks contact like a David Montgomery. And so when you look at all these scouting sites and you see the abilities that he's got, I just think that, he was able to, on film, run away from Big 12 linebackers. And I was impressed with what he brought to the table. He ran around, I think, I'm thinking here, I think
it was a 4.8, Doc.
6'5", I think, at the private workouts. So he was right around what people expected him to be at. So, I like the idea, but here's the thing. The Lions are always looking for competition. And I just kind of think that a player of his caliber would be a nice asset, but at the same token, I don't think he ends up landing in Detroit because I'm very curious about what Sione Vaki can bring to the table, especially with the special teams work that he had. And I think that a year of development in this system, I like Sione Vaki a little bit more than I like Scadaboo.
Hey, Doc, one thing I want to bring up is obviously last year, and I think it might have been you I had the conversation with, but about the corners with Terrion and Ennis last year. Do you see them going again this year and saying, hey, let's get another corner to fill into this room on Thursday? Not Thursday, but let's say Friday, Saturday, say, hey, let's take a couple shots on some more secondary guys, bring another corner in there to compete with Ennis and Terrion and DJ Reed?
Yeah, the name that kind of surfaced that people are talking about is Maxwell Hairston. And he even showed up in someone's mock draft in the first round. Local guy, I think his visit counts. That he showed up and had an opportunity to talk with the Lions. So I look at it and I say you do need a little bit of depth because Ennis is a guy that unfortunately Brad Holmes said, "Hey, he dealt with injuries. We had to go out and get DJ Reed because of the fact that Ennis was injured." So it's unfortunate that went down to that degree. It stinks. A lot of people are paying attention to a couple guys that are really intriguing. I'm curious to see in this draft. I had notes on a couple guys. Malachi Starks, I think the safety nickelback out of Georgia, rated pretty well in grittiness. Many people think that he's great against the run, humble leader, has leader traits. Really, the thing that makes a defensive back draftable is how fast can they communicate and pick up and learn and be somebody that can be an asset. And I think Malachi Starks can be very intriguing. And the other one, and I do think that Brad Holmes will have an affinity for I watch Texas all year long. I don't know. I'm intrigued by Steve Sarkisian and just his whole story, the way he coaches, the way his teams kind of have an up and down nature. They're really solid, but then when it's crunch time, they kind of collapse. But boy, when I went to scout in Ann Arbor and I saw the offensive line, I was just like, oh my God, they dwarfed the Michigan Wolverines by at least 20 pounds on average along the offensive line. And I just said, oh my goodness, when they left, they were leaving the stadium the same time I was. It was like a professional outfit. And I like Jahdae Barron. I felt like him shifting to corner was pretty decent. And he's very the thing that you want to look at is with the players in the defensive backs, are they versatile? Can they move inside, outside? Can they be somebody that you put them in a different spot, they can flourish? I do think Barron has a good chance to be very versatile and can be competitive with Ennis and Meek Robertson in the slot. And then the other player that I like is I also like the safety Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. I felt like his tape, watching them kind of caught my eye, can be somebody that if you look at, hey, you want to add talent to Branch and Kirby Joseph, that's a player to pay attention to as well. But yeah, I do think cornerback is a spot. And then the other one too that I think everybody's talking about is Siobhan Revelle. I've just, you can't go wrong. If that name's called, you'll be in great shape.
Doc, we kind of spoke on it a little bit earlier. Ryan Poles came out today and said that GMs, like, he expects this to be an active draft with trades. And I know you talked to other journalists that are connected to other teams. When you look at this draft, do you think that there's going to be a lot of teams willing to move back and got other teams trying to go get their guy? Or do you think it's going to be kind of like steady where teams are just staying in their spots and picking who's available to them?
It's a very good question. It is hard to predict because the situation is this is lying season. So everybody puts out stuff in such a wild way that you kind of know outside of number one, that the quarterback is going to go to Tennessee. It can get real wild right after that. So it's going to be interesting. I think after, quarterbacks tend to shift the market around and how things go. But I wonder where Abdul Carter is going to end up. I wonder at number 2 if it's going to be Travis Hunter or is it going to be somebody else. So after the first 2-3 picks, it can get real wild. And I think that you might find that all the mock drafts you read in the top 10 could go a lot of different ways. And here's what tends to move the market: quarterbacks. So I don't think a lot of quarterbacks are going to I don't think a lot of people like Shedeur Sanders. He might fall out of the first round. You see the Louisville quarterback, he's drawing buzz, Jackson Dart, but I don't think they're first-round quarterbacks. They're not graded that well. So I think a lot of teams are going to stay. Where it could get interesting is right where the lines are at. And that's why a lot of insiders are saying that, the interesting part is, what do people think about the Louisville quarterback? Would somebody like the Browns maybe make an offer to the Lions to trade down to kind of get back into the first round to take the Lions 28 pick and take a quarterback? Could somebody see? That's what I was saying on the latest podcast that comes out tomorrow is Brad could set a market. He could set some leverage if he can get the Browns and the Steelers and the Giants to kind of believe that there's an opportunity that each other is going to take a quarterback. Then you have, if Brad can contact the Steelers and say, hey, I'm getting some buzz, I'm getting some action from other teams about taking 28. They're thinking about taking a quarterback. You may get some leverage to get a couple extra picks. That could happen. And I would not be surprised if a team that would trade into the Lions spot would take a quarterback, because most people think that the Browns at the first pick of the second round are going to target a quarterback. And if a team wants to jump up, the Lions are a nice little spot that you can work out a deal. So I'm curious. I don't think there's going to be a lot of action in the first round, but guys, are you hearing the fun action? And I think it's great what's happening at the top is you're hearing the buzz about about Gentry. Where's he going to go? Could the Jaguars take him? You're hearing that whisper because they want to raise the desperation of the Bears to kind of move up and get him. The Raiders at 6, they could also, you heard that, which was great. You hear, Raiders just absolutely love Gentry and love the running back spot. They have so many other needs that Gentry's luxury, but they're saying that because the Bears, I think the Bears genuinely love Gentry. And I know the fans have said, hey, John, don't worry, he's not going to the Bears. The one player I don't want to see on the Bears is Gentry. I think he would cause a problem even to the Lions defense. I don't care that he struggled in the playoff. When you give him a decent offensive line and you see a monster with that mentality, he will cause the Lions problems if he's with the Bears. So I don't want to see him in the division. And I'm curious to see where the action is. It could start with the Jaguars and Raiders, where teams, maybe the Bears, start to kind of move around from 10 to 7 to 6 to kind of move in that spot. But other than that, I could see it being a 1-2 trade first round, being relatively quiet because the talent level is not there in regards to true draft talent. Like this draft is rated worse than last year's.
I just want to follow up on the one point you made there, Doc, about trading back. And because I have seen a lot of rumors. A lot of teams are looking to get back in, especially for if quarterbacks fall, the Shedeurs, Jackson Darts, if they start falling. Do you think at all, and you've been around the draft room for a while with Brad since he's been here, do you think he values those first round picks a lot with that 5th-year option? Do you think that's something he looks at and goes really considers that I really don't want to give up a 5th-year option, especially of a player that I really, really love that's high on my board?
Yeah, great question. And here's how you look at it. When the Lions and the new regime came in, they had the opportunity to have a blockbuster trade with Matthew Stafford, and they took full advantage. They got the extra first round picks. They had, if you are covering a draft, and I forgot at one point that, teams don't take 2 players in the first round because my first couple experiences in the draft room, you're taking 2 first round picks. That's double the work. And when they got down to 1, I was like, oh, thank you, God, because you got to go and you talk to the player, you get all the work, you get all the information that you gather for the one player, and then you turn around and get another player. Oh, that was 6 draft articles within a 2-hour time span. It was a nightmare. And as a writer, you're trying to get a deadline. You're trying to get a lot of information out to people, and the Lions needed it. That was the strategy, was to stockpile picks high in the draft because they were rebuilding. Well, Brad hit on a lot of those guys. Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Aiden Hutchinson, Penei Sewell, they hit. Those guys are the pillars of the team. Unfortunately, there's a drawback to that, and that now when they hit their 4th and 5th year, they're going to command big time dollars, and they want market setting contracts. Like when you draft that high, they don't just want to stick around in Detroit. They want to set the market. That's what Penei's doing. That's what Aiden's doing. That's what Kirby's going to do. So now the reason why trading down is more of an option is you pay less. You just, each spot that you go down, you pay less as a commitment, and you don't have to worry about that 5th-year option. You get 4 years of team control. And if the player is good, great. And you worry about the problem 4 years from now. But if you get a first-round talent, then the 5th-round option is available at a relatively, expensive rate. So at this point, now there's going to be a shift. And there could be a shift in regards to the Lions and not coveting. And also, too, it's dependent on the class. This draft class is deeper at certain spots that the Lions need, offensive line and defensive line, most notably. So you don't have to worry that, hey, if the Lions pick, they pick 60th in the 2nd round, but if you have an opportunity to get a 2nd round pick and another day 2 or day 3 pick, you might take that opportunity to get more capital and to get more guys that are more affordable, that don't have to worry about 1st round dollars. Because again, each pick that if you trade up, it's a higher cost. It's slotted at higher. And right now, the Lions at 28, I think the odds-on favorite is they pick at 28, followed close second by a reasonable offer to get a pick from 30 to 42 and another day 2 or day 3 pick. The Lions will entertain that and it's also going to depend on who falls and who's available in that cluster. If they truly believe that there's a player they like, they could trade down. I would not be surprised in any sense if they trade down.
And Doc, I want to make sure I phrase this question correctly, because the obvious answer would be the Lions, given how they've drafted. But when you look at the NFC North between the Lions, Bears, Packers, Vikings, who in your mind is under the most pressure to nail this draft in terms of the NFC North race? Who would you say most pressure for those 4 teams?
Well, of course, it's the Lions. But no. In all seriousness, it's the Vikings because they don't have as many picks. I think that they're a team that has a quarterback that's young and inexperienced at the NFL level. You're going to have to potentially find opportunities for him to get supported. And then also, too, it's tough when you move on from a starter that won you that many games. So I think the Vikings is very much imperative. And for all teams, the draft is important because that's where you find affordable talent. But I would rank it Vikings, then the Packers. The Bears made a lot of moves in free agency. They got a lot of picks, so they have more of a chance to whiff. But they, of course, you always want to try to hit on your draft picks. But when you have the more chances you have, the more opportunities that you can to hit. So I look at it like the ranking would be clearly the Vikings and then the Packers followed by the Bears. But the reason why this draft is so important for the Lions is you now are going to potentially start seeing some replacements for some of the vets. I truly believe there could be a replacement for Alex Anzalone selected, could be a replacement for Brian Branch, could be a replacement for Taylor Decker. You're going to have to start to get next. And if your mission is clearly the mission is to win a Super Bowl, but if your mission is also sustain success, no developmental players. You got to get guys that are going to compete right away. You're some names that are starting to show up that are not as productive as you would want. It's starting to get up there a little bit, but that's just a byproduct of having such a good football team that it's tougher to make the roster. But, it's still tough with Hendon Hooker, Broderick Martin, Colby Sorsdahl. A couple of those picks didn't work out. Ifeatu Melifonwu, not the best pick. And then you traded up for some assets. Manu was a project. Those are 4 or 5 guys that could have been used on defense for a Super Bowl caliber team. But no general managers, perfect. And the storybook is still open. The chance is still there to win a Super Bowl. But if they don't, there'll be some areas that you can pinpoint directly that you could say, well, if they used it a little bit wiser, they could have been a little bit further in the postseason. But it's a big draft for the Lions. You got to restock some talent because I can't wait to see who they decide to let go because the fans are attached to a lot of these guys, and a lot of the picks are very popular players. So you could see it. But I'll tell you guys directly. Laporta, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, those are guys that are going to be tough to, I think they'll get some offers as well. And they're going to look to have some contracts that are going to be very bloated. And there are opportunities. It's not easy to get a tight end, but there will be tough decisions. Laporta will be very tough. Branch will be very tough. Jack Campbell will be very tough. Those will be some tough decisions because I do think that Aiden and Kirby are going to break open the bank.
Which
Doc,
which one of those 3 are you resigning, Doc?
Which one of those three?
Yeah. If you had to pick one.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one.
If you had to pick one, I keep Laporta. It's an offensive league. It's a quarterback's best friend. I think he can develop into be a George Kittle-like. I think you can find another linebacker to man the ship. I think that's a position that can be cultivated. Your defensive coordinator is at that spot, so he was a former position coach at that spot. I think you can find a linebacker a little bit easier in the draft to replace. Safety as well. It's tough, but you can also target free agents at the safety spot as some of the safeties that have already been in the class drafted kind of get into their second contract. You can replace it. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And the debate's starting to kind of, I see it online a little bit, the Branch versus Kirby Joseph. But I do think there's a chance Branch, if he's willing to work with the Lions, could still be part of this team after his first contract. But he's going to get some offers if he continues to play physical, play well, be around the football. But Kirby Joseph is going to set the market, and it'll be interesting to see what Branch's contract is worth.
Doc, I'll just shoot it to you straight. Why is there not a Kirby Joseph or an Aiden Hutchinson extension done yet? I know Kirby today said it's in the works. Let me get the exact quote here from Jennifer Hammond. It's in progress. We're getting things going. Feels like last year, all those deals got done draft week, which is 2 days away. Is there a reason that you think Brad's taking a longer time? Is it the agents that are trying to keep this thing as long as possible to get the highest price? What's going on here? Why aren't these two guys extended yet?
Yeah, they're negotiating. And I think that the deal takes time. Aiden's I think Kirby first, Aiden second. I think that there's a chance. Stay tuned tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. If you recall, based on history, the doc will tell you, you guys know that last year they did 3. Panay and Amon-Ra St. Brown got their big deals right before the draft. I think it was 24 hours before the draft. So stay tuned tomorrow. It could be. But I wouldn't worry about Kirby Joseph. Brad tipped it off. He said, hey, we're going to start working on Kirby's extension. And these extensions, guys, they take a little time because there's a lot of nuance. Void years, you want to allocate it so that you know your numbers. You're still trying to learn the cap situation for next year. You kind of allocate that. You know your draft class. Certain spots. And also, too, you are also negotiating actively potentially with someone else. So let's say Aiden's first offer, let's say Aiden wants 45. That's going to impact what's available for Kirby. Let's say the numbers, guaranteed dollars. So when you're working on different contracts and maybe some that we're not talking about publicly, then there's only so many dollars. And so it is not as easy as saying, hey, Kirby, here's 5 years, 100 million. And the way you craft it is how you allocate certain bonuses, how you allocate void years, how many void years, 2, 3, 4, because then you can spread out the cap hit over a period of time. So those things are intricate and those take time and numbers. And what's the rush? He's going to be a part of the Detroit Lions. There's no chance in hell you let a guy with 9 interceptions in a season who's that kind of player walk out the door. Now, he's got to learn how to throw a better opening pitch because that one was god-awful, and he balked. He took a little hop step and then threw it 20 yards wide. But look, stick to your day job. Be a safety, ball hawk, and I think he'll do just fine on the football field. He'll get paid, but there's no worry. What's the rush? I mean, I'm looking at it like, please, in my humble opinion, I don't want to write any more than I have to over the next 5 days because there's going to be a lot of writing. I would be just happy like you do it. There's a 6-week period. Brad, listen, help a guy out. I'm going gray. There's a 6-week period from June 15th until July 28th or so before we kick off the new year and training camp. Do it in those 2 so we can space it out a little bit. Maybe the first couple of days let us have with no news. Then you get the Kirby extension. We can write all about that. Then a week later, then we write about the Aiden extension. We can write all about that. So then we have a little bit of filler in those 6 weeks of off time. If he does it tomorrow, my God, guys, to give you a little insight of what it's like, we already got like 4 or 5 articles ready to go for tomorrow. And it's just crazy how much sheer information there is. I don't need Kirby Joseph contract on the docket for tomorrow. If it happens, we'll be ready. We have it all set. But it's funny because, at this point in time, we're all kind of just bracing ourselves because once Thursday hits, it's on call. No sleep till Sunday. And that's the way it goes for the life of an NFL writer.
Doc, in your mock draft earlier, you took Tyler Booker. And when you look at this Lions offensive line right now, you got the tackles, you got Panay, you got Taylor Decker, you got the center and Frank Ragnow. And you look at the guards, Graham Glasgow, Christian Mahogany. Now you had Tyler Booker there. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Gray Zabel, if they take Donovan Jackson in the first round or they trade up to get him early in the second. So you get Donovan Jackson, you get Gray Zabel, you get Tyler Booker. Who do you think is more likely to lose their spot to that said rookie? Do you think it'd be Christian Mahogany or do you think it'd be Graham Glasgow?
It's no guarantee that the rookie does play, but I think it would be Graham Glasgow. I think Mahogany is a bulldog. I think he fits right in at right guard. I think he's ready to learn. If he stays healthy, he's there. He's a starter. I think Glasgow, a little bit older. I thought he was a little more inconsistent, a little bit more injury prone. He dealt with a rough season. And the reason why Dan Campbell likes him, he's versatile. He can be the backup center to Frank Ragnow. But I think that, a young, hungry offensive lineman, keeps the engine purring. So the competition will be great. I think a lot of people are paying attention to the development of Giovanni Manu. We saw that Michael Neese is returning, but he figures to be a practice squad, roster bubble kind of guy. But you have some depth there with Awosika and Skipper, but you do need some influx of some young talent. And I'm very curious to see how a young rookie at that spot competes and gets after it, because it's no easy feat. You're baptized right away in the league with Levi Onwuzurike, DJ Reader, and Davenport and a rookie, and Aiden Hutchinson. So that'll be a fun opportunity. And what the Lions like to do is they throw these rookies into the fire and move them all around. So you'll see reports that they get cross-trained at left guard, right guard, different spots. You'll see potentially them draft pick at left tackle at certain spots if Decker is getting a veteran day. So it's a fun, I don't it's weird because I know at training camp, a lot of people hyper focus on who's playing where. I always thought that kind of information was a little bit more secretive, but you're allowed to kind of talk about it at certain spots. I've kind of just been really cautious and not give away depth charts like, oh, I saw that, hey, this guy played at left guard today, because it's kind of like specific information. But a lot of people do it, so it's not as regulated. But this year, I think if there's a first-round pick, yeah, you'll see reports from us and all the reporters. You can go find it. Hey, today at this percentage of time, we start seeing hey, this guy got trained at left guard, right guard, and first unit, second unit, all that kind of stuff. But for a single reporter who only's got one guy, one set of eyes there, it's a little bit tough to jot down all the numbers and to get the main points out. But there's people that have multiple. Maybe this year I'll try to get the second pair of eyes. They're a little bit tougher with the DOC. I wonder why, in terms of giving me that second credential. But I understand. I respect it. I kind of like it that it's been one pair of eyes with Lions on SI for the last 7 years, and it's been me.
Well, Doc, we got some questions from the people. So I'm going to throw these up for you, Doc. First question, Full Slate Farm says, question, would the Lions draft Milroe? Word is Holmes fell in love with him at the Combine in the interview.
Man, I don't know how you saw that, because that's a direct insult to Hendon Hooker. I mean, I think that's, you brought in Allen. You've already told everybody that with the Bridgewater thing. I mean, you bring in another quarterback. I think that when you weigh it out, it doesn't work. I don't care if you fell in love with Jalen Milroe. Move on and pick another defender. No, I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Yeah,
I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I would be too. John Lewis says, Doc, how much money did you make betting on Detroit sports?
Oh, you guys, great. Anakin, first, I saw your question. I talked about it. Why do we talk about Jameson Williams? Listen, I told the chat, we talk about Jameson Williams because people read about Jameson Williams. He's an enigma. He sparks interest. We did look, we did stories on the draft, my mock draft. The biggest stories on the site are the trade, because people think that the Cowboys realistically Jerry Jones could call up Brad Holmes and make a crazy offer. That story did well. And then the reaction piece that we did just dwarfed it by 9 times. So we're obsessed. It's not a cash cow, but let's just say the guys asked me about Jameson Williams. When there's an opportunity to ask about JMO at the pressers, we ask. It's basically, we have identified, the DOC has identified that Jameson Williams is a topic of interest. So he heavily rates in regards to topic of conversation. So that's why we talk about him. And it's good because you guys talk about it. If you stop reading it, and stop talking about it. Even though, remember too, guys, Twitter is the outlier. It's just a vocal minority. By and large, we have analytics at a detailed level to let me know how long people stay on a site, how many minutes they're on there, and what they're reading to the minute. So whatever you see on my site is getting read. If you see a content type, it's because it's getting read. Now, how much money did I make betting sports? I'm a small time bettor. I'm a profitable bettor. I am somebody that takes in a lot of information. I'm well read. I'm a numbers guy. And also, you asked me publicly in a time where I just paid paid the April taxes. So let's just say I'm even in my betting at this point in time. I'm not winning too much, not losing too much. I'm a happy guy in regards to that. But let's just say this. I'm a math guy. I'm a math wizard. I got all A's, A+ statistics all the way across. I can do the hedging properly. I know how to take information. My biggest bets I can share. I don't do parlays. It's a sucker bet. Bet on Michigan State, bet on Michigan, bet on the Lions, bet the NFL. NFL does me well. It's a very much a plausible, viable, entertaining endeavor. And to be honest, UFC, if you read up on the UFC, there's a lot of edge you can get in terms of picking fights that are high leverage situations. And there's a lot of great information. Read all the Booner gives a lot of free information. It's great stuff. A lot of great free betting analysts. And now there's a lot of women doing it too. So that makes it easy to listen to. And the secret is don't do parlays, don't do sucker bets. I don't do futures. I just do, injuries, and I go by feel at times. But yeah, I'm a successful bettor. Breaking even.
There you go. Malik says, Doc, is Sorsdahl cooked? Dan mentioned playing Manu at guard, but he didn't say anything about Sorsdahl. Bro's in his third year and has played snaps before. What do you make of all that?
Yeah, no, he hasn't developed to the degree that people want. It takes a while. He's a 5th-round pick. Remember, guys, too, let's slot it properly. 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, those are the guys that are projected to pretty much make the team and have a little bit more leeway. When you're in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, it's a little bit tougher. And it's a situation in which they took him out of William and Mary. It's an adjustment period. They moved his position, guard, tackle. It takes a while. It's tough. I don't say he's cooked, but this is the year that if he doesn't make it, he'll be on the roster bubble at training camp.
Muted, Jeff.
Jomo says, Doc, why not a rookie at right guard to be in between Frank and Panay, Mahogany to left?
No, that's very possible. Dan said that there's a chance to do that. I just think that you look at it from the perspective of where Christian Mahogany might have the best strength. I think playing next to Panay Sewell easier to kind of play off of the skill set. I like the idea of running to the right side a little bit more to attack the defense. And so it's all about your approach and how you want to attack an opposing defense. And it's not a situation, Lion King, that it's out of the realm of possibility. I think that you will read reports that Mahogany plays some at left guard during training camp. Yeah, it's not one of those things you draft linemen, but I think that Mahogany started just based on the comfort level of Glasgow. I just think that right guard kind of is going to suit him pretty well at the next level.
That guy up north says, Doc, question, would you rather reach on the 5th or 6th ranked edge at 28 or draft a safety or wide receiver?
No, there's no reaching. You go for best player at 20 in the first round. You go for around your best player at a position of need. Like, I think that, it's relatively, you take your best offensive lineman. If he's available, you take that. See, that's a great question in regards to where would you reach? I think that the Lions are going to have a lot of decent grades on the defensive linemen and the defensive ends. And I think that there's opportunities that you rank it more in terms of priority. And the best player could be a Gray Zabel or a Booker or a guy like Derek Harmon, that I think the best player on defense might rank a little bit higher than a safety, because there's some good safeties that can be available. There's a lot of depth at safety that you don't have to go in the first round and take a safety or running back or an offensive skill position. If they do wide receiver, I would be shocked, because I think that the better players that quote unquote even though they are a position of need, the better players too, I think slot for defense as well. In terms of defensive tackle, there's some depth there as well that are better than a safety or a 5th or 6th ranked edge. That's why you could see a defensive tackle. You could see a offensive lineman ahead of those positions.
All right. 2 more questions left, Doc. We got Broski Bear says, Doc, what's your prediction for Davin Poop this season?
I said on the podcast, I give him 1 game. I give him 1 game, and then we'll be talking about it. But it's hard to say. I'm just going to be, draft hype and be positive. I hope he stays healthy. I hope he's dealt with so much to deal with those injuries that you just hope that the Lions are on the better side of luck this year. His injury wasn't really injury prone situation. It was, he got hit in the elbow in a spot that, it's a tough spot. He got chopped, and that is just bad luck. It wasn't an injury prone situation. He got hit in the right spot and broke his elbow. So it's one of those deals where it's, you hope he can stay healthy, but I do think that that's why you're going to need some depth at the defensive end spot.
Last question. You know what, Doc? We'll send you off on a good question here. Xavier says, Doc, when you're smoking a nice cigar, do you prefer bourbon or scotch to go with it?
Yeah, no, purely bourbon. Scotch does not agree with me well. I can't find the smoothest ones that are in my price range. I think that, as everybody knows, the higher you pay, the smoother the scotch. So I am a bourbon person. I found too that dipping a cigar, I think everybody may dip the end into the bourbon and enjoy a nice cigar and a nice evening to relax. I definitely probably will smoke a cigar Sunday night at like 11 p.m. when the draft is over. Let me just tell you guys real fast what it's going to be like. The doors open at 5, I believe, and it's rumors galore, and then it's just nonstop coverage of the draft. It is wild. It goes by fast. It's taxing. You guys know what it's like now on the broadcast side. On the writing side, it's crazy because we got so much content that's going to be available. The first round pick Friday is crazy because the first round pick comes to town. Then the draft, then Brad Holmes. Then Saturday is crazy because there's multiple picks. Then Brad Holmes. Then the recap of everything that goes on. So it is a great situation. Have patience with your reporters in regards to the questions they ask and everything, because we're on fumes by Saturday. But the information will be there. Visit us and visit these guys. Engage. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know at Detroit Podcast. If you like the pick, don't like the pick, let these guys know. Listen, the media is going to try and uplift everybody that's there. If you don't like a pick, let us know why. We'll have those fair discussions, but be true to yourself. Be honest. That's what makes great fans about Detroit, is if you think a player's a developmental player, I don't think they're going to draft any developmental projects, but if they do and you're not happy, let us know. Speak up, tweet, message. You guys have a voice. We hear it. We know what the powerful fans of Detroit are all about, and I'm excited to see how the fans, I hope they play at the Pistons game, the final countdown. The fans are just crazy rabid. The Knicks, now it's personal with Jalen Brunson, the flopper. Now it's a situation in which that's the way you want to play basketball. I hope the Pistons destroy the Knicks. It's now going to be a rivalry, I think, coming in the future, Pistons-Knicks. And guys, Pistons are a little bit more physical, a little more mentally tougher, a little more longer. It's nice. I maybe have been wrong. But remember what I did say. The biggest concern was those officials. Dang it. The game 2, they tried to F the Pistons with those silly ticky-tack Brunson. I mean, you just nudged him and he was flopping. That was embarrassing at the highest level. But the Pistons, I think, you win game 2 with Beasley and Hardaway playing like shit. This is great. Now you have a chance when they're going to come home. I think game 3 in Detroit, they're going to blow out the Knicks, and then game 4 will be a battle. Could go back to New York 2-2, but the Pistons are in an amazing opportunity to win this series. I'm excited. Tigers are doing well. The only team to complain about right now is the Red Wings, because you can see Steve Yzerman didn't make the moves, and you can see Dylan Larkin and his disappointment in his season-ending boo-boo face annually that, hey, another year, another wasted year, not in the postseason. But the Pistons learned, hey, surround good players with good role players, you can have success. And Detroit sports deserves this. Get excited. Go try and do both. Pay attention to the draft in Lions on SI and enjoy the Pistons, because it's fun. Guys, I was shocked. I couldn't believe when I typed it. I've been doing the podcast since 2013. 1 Pistons playoff win. My first ever witnessing a playoff win with my eyes was yesterday. And I did over 1,000 podcasts. 12 years of podcasting, 7 years as an NFL reporter. I was 29 years old when the Pistons last won in 2008. I looked at that, and when I typed it, I was floored. And one of the big engagements that I got was people are just telling me how old they were when they last saw Pistons win. They were 6, 7. I mean, a generation did not see a postseason win. Don't take this for granted. Watch, engage, watch the Pistons, but also pay attention to the draft. It's an important time for everybody. Put a little extra dollars that I can spend on some gambling.
Hey, Doc, we appreciate you so much. I know you're going to be busy this week. We'll be dialed in with you. We'll be in the trenches with you, Doc. We'll talk to you very soon, my friend, next week to recap it all.
Can't wait to talk to you guys. Guys, have a great broadcast. Learn your lessons from Shannon Sharpe. I'll say this.
25K a cheek, Doc.
It's undefeated. That it'll bring down any great man. It's just undefeated. I get it. But if you're a man of Shannon Sharpe's caliber and you're about to hit $100 million podcast contract, your numbers are great. You're about to work on ESPN, and that's the level of caliber of lady that you are trying to entertain. That's a mental health situation at the highest level of ego and narcissism. Very, very unbecoming. His career could go down the toilet real fast. And I'll say this. When you're in a situation, and if you guys ever make it huge, 3 letters, NDA. Peace, boys.
Oh my gosh, he leaves on the
that was wild.
That is that's
the
John
Doc.
Maakaron.
That's the Doc.
Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.